Yeah, football fans, appreciate you streaming in on this Thursday on Birds 365. You got Maga Mac. That would be John McMullen and Jody McDonald. JM, when last we spoke 22 hours ago, we said, hey, see you again tomorrow. I would say that it was a pretty fun, debatable,
what a day. What a day.
inspiring 22 hours since last we spoke. Man, just one report after the other. Who do you trust? Who do you believe? Really? What the hell's going on? You mean they're doing a 180? How much fun did you have yesterday?
Not a lot, to be honest. Again, who to trust? I mean, Darius said goodbye. I mean, that was, confirmed.
That one you weren't you weren't too shy to read between the lines. That was pretty easy for you.
No. Huh? And his wife said goodbye as well. I mean, that was not misreporting. I believe Adam Schefter was first with it, so, for the people that don't understand, we always talk about the information brokers. Things are funneled to them. And then poor people like me got to confirm it with, you can do the math and, it was confirmed. From Slay's perspective, he made the decision to leave and then did the 180. And I think it was good we had Les on yesterday because Les has had a long history, obviously, with the Eagles, but also dealing with Drew Rosenhaus. And he mentioned, I believe he used the term, Drew's a realist. I think, everybody remembers Drew from the TO days, right? Mm-hmm. He's not that guy anymore. You think about it, he was always cultivating sort of media attention back then. He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't do that anymore because he's entrenched. He's built his brand. He's one of the biggest agents in the sport. He doesn't have to do it anymore. And he is a realist. And, I think what happened here is he got in Slay's ear and said, look, dude, you're 32. You're comfortable. You like it here. They're going to pay you your money this year. And I think ultimately, and the Eagles were lobbying as well, we love you. We think you're a great player. We need some cap, help. You're going to get your money and you're going to get it up front. And ultimately he calmed down and rethought it. And, who knows, his wife, any of us who are married knows how that can have an effect. And she loves it here. She didn't want to leave. And ultimately he got the 180. Big Wolf of Wall Street guy. If you like that movie, Jordan Belfort, Leo DiCaprio, he's not effing leaving. And, he did a 180. It's happened before in free agency. You've seen certain players agree to terms with one team. Frank Gore was most famous here, changed his mind. Happens every once in a while. But rarely do you see this, man. That was crazy. And again, if I'm an NFL head coach, and these are grown men, you can't tell them what to do. But man, I would really, really advise to use Twitter for certain things. Build your brand, interact with the fans if you want, but try to stay away from it. Because Slay was on there all day. Our buddy Brandon Lee Gouton was tweeting out, PFF statistics. He's saying this isn't right. Well, it is right. I mean, he's not lying. He's given the statistics. So it all stemmed from Twitter and saying goodbye, and then they changed their mind, basically.
Right. And here's what we do know, and here's what we don't know. And I think more importantly is what we don't know. The devil is going to be in the details. That's what they were negotiating, was the details. How much of the money that he's supposed to make this year will be transferred into a signing bonus, which will give them salary cap relief. And, oh, by the way, once it becomes a signing bonus, it becomes guaranteed. So that's a good thing for Slay. His contract this year, $17 million salary, as of right now, not guaranteed until we find out what they agreed to going forward. So the Eagles were doing solid by him by guaranteeing a percentage of his salary this year. And then they could spread that out over a period of time and get salary cap relief for it. If Slay had chosen to take his release, that the Eagles said, we're going to release you, it's going to be post June 1st, so we're going to get some salary cap relief. They just spread it out over 2 years rather than one big hit this year if they released him now. Well, that salary this year goes by the boards. It was guaranteed, non-guaranteed. So that was why, and I got to give Howie Roseman a ton of credit. He played this like a concerto fiddle.
Yeah, he's
He
getting
let
his
him
flowers
go out.
today too.
He and his agent Drew Rosenhaus, the realist that he is, go out and check here's what we're telling we think is fair market value for you. If you can find better, yeah, we'll go ahead and trade you to that team. Well, they went out and talked to all the teams around the league, and they found out you're not getting $17 million on the open market this year, bud. That's what you're supposed to make from the Eagles. It's not going to happen anywhere else. So the realist that is Drew Rosenhaus said, yeah, if we want to walk away because you're ticked off because the Eagles won't give you another year with some guaranteed money in 2024, we can do that. But we can end up losing money. And they'd prefer to keep you in a town where you'd like to be, where life would like to be, and we can get some more guaranteed money just for this year. All right, doesn't help us down the road, but guess what? Nobody else is putting out an olive branch for down the road either. So why don't we just stay put where we are? And you get the amazing 180, and Darius Slay is back again next year.
Yep. Now, and we'll see when it gets filed eventually with the NFLPA. Everyone will know.
Right.
I was told there's no new money, and the Eagles are getting cap relief. So that tells me they're going to guarantee his salaries you mentioned, and probably got Slay to agree to an extra Boyd year where, it's essentially going to be a dummy year on the contract so they can spread it out and get that cap relief. That's my guess. That's just my guess of what's going to happen.
He's already got 3 dummy years. This is when and if Darius Slay and the Philadelphia Eagles part ways, there's going to be a cap hit. There's going to be a dead money cap.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's already got 3 dummy years. He had another one. Now it's going to be 4.
Well, I should say, as you do, that's his old contract. So the problem is when you hit the final year, and that was the Eagles, like with Lane Johnson, whenever they do with Lane Johnson, they don't have to get permission for Lane to do this stuff because he's got multiple years left on his contract. In his final year, they would have to get permission. You have to sort of amend the contract, rework it, whatever word you want to use. That's why it's different. So those Boyd years on his current contract no longer matter because they're dummy years. So now they got to create a new contract with new dummy years. And essentially that's what they're doing. So, it's a bookkeeping trick. This time of year, that stuff gets too important. But, the Eagles are really good at it. And I see, you mentioned Howie Roseman. I see Josina Anderson out there giving him his flowers, and Albert Breer, and he's doing a tremendous job. But I did put it on Twitter. Jake Rosenberg deserves a lot of credit as well. And Howie will say that. He's the Eagles director, vice president of football administration. He's the contract guy. And teams look to what the Eagles do and try to replicate it. When other organizations look at your organization, and the Eagles are really good at it, and they deserve credit for it. But you're right. Here's where Howie deserves the flowers. He knows the freaking market, man.
Correct.
He knows it backward and forward. And that's what, that turned out to be a great strategy to say, all right, go shopping around, see what you can get elsewhere. And he knows this league. And it's not about Slay being a bad player because he's a good player. But it's the way this league does business. If you're a 32-year-old cornerback, they're not going to make these grand gestures. That's not how this league works. Dirty is a dirty word in this league. And even dirtier at certain positions, cornerback being one of them, the so-called thoroughbred positions. Now, if you keep playing well, essentially what they did is they put them on the Fletcher Cox plan. If you remember last year when they sort of rebooted Fletcher's contract. Now they actually released him for 24 hours. They didn't get to that point with Slay, so it's not completely apples to apples, but it's really close. And now they're going to amend this and put Slay on that 1-year plan. But all the while they're saying, we love you. This is just the reality of the industry. You saw, we let Drew go out. He gave you the information. And essentially, would you rather be here? Which you love your teammates. You're a team captain. He was really emotional when they voted him to be a team captain, his teammates. As I mentioned, his wife, I bet you $1 million had a big thing to do with this because she loves it here. She tailgates with the fans. I mean, she loves it here. Why leave? It's a good team, and they've taken hits. But I got news for you, Jody. The NFC looks bad. It's very early in the process, but when you talk about the quarterbacks, the AFC is loaded. The NFC, it's Jalen Hurts, and pick your poison. If you want Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, I even throw Jared Goff. I might take Jared Goff as number 2 in the NFC. Well, you got a murderer's row over there in the AFC. The Eagles are going to be a good team. Are they going to be as good as they were this past season? Probably not. But it's an easier path in the NFC. So it's still a good team. Why leave? And that's, I think, what the Eagles sold.
If the Eagles want to stay where they are, arguably number 1, number 2, San Francisco, think what you want about their quarterback situation. They are right now either the best on paper or second best in the NFC. A move that could actually move the needle, I think we had one earlier here in free agency or legal tampering, that if the Eagles were 1 and San Francisco were 2, might have made it San Francisco 1, the Eagles 2, was Javon Hargrave signing with San Francisco. Well, one that might be able to swing it back is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. No news on that front. You and I kicked it around. Yes, could this be the day?
I thought it was going to be right, too. It was trending in a positive direction.
Well, they had to clean up all the Slay business before they could get the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson business. And, oh, by the way, and again, the devil will be in the details, they cleared enough cap room for this upcoming season with the new reworked Darius Slay deal, that only lends itself to a better chance of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson coming back here. I think it's a key signing, John. They kind of need to get this done. This is going to be very important. I've heard him tied to no other teams, which surprises me. I thought at some point some other team would come out, has high interest in, is talking to, maybe not gotten close to a deal. But have you seen him tied to any other team in reporting?
Denver, the Broncos.
Okay.
But I don't know. Aaron Wilson reported that. Very good reporter, Houston-based reporter. But I don't know how much of that is Sean Payton related. Sean was obviously with New Orleans when CJ was there. So a lot of it might be just, reading the tea leaves. And Sean was very vocal, if you remember, that it was a bad trade from the Saints' perspective. So he spoke very highly about CJ as a player. So I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is just people, connecting it because Sean Payton is there. But I'm surprised, he was the guy expected to go in the first couple hours of free agency, whether it was the Eagles making a move to bring him back or him getting the big deal. And clearly, to me, the big deal isn't going to be there for him. And that's better for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And now Orlando Brown took a long time too, and he got a monster deal. So I guess it's possible, but I don't think it's a good sign for CJ as far as, Jesse Bates at the top of the market at $16 million. I don't think he's getting anywhere near that. I think he might get half of that, Jody. But that's just, that's just a pure guess. but I just can't see the big deal that would blow the Eagles out of the water. I don't know if it's going to be there for him.
Well, it was a big 22 hours since last we spoke. John and I both thought it was more likely going to be CJ than the ouster return of Darius Slay and the return of Fletcher Cox. We haven't even gotten there yet. We will do that with our first guest. Up next with us here on Birds 365, we've got our pal Martin Frank from the Delaware News Journal. He's going to jump in here on Birds 365.